While Reddit.com is known for being the front page of the internet, there are quite a few oddities to be uncovered if you keep turning those pages. From outdated internet phenomena to entire fandoms and niche cultures you didn't even know existed. But with sites as large as this, there's always a darker side where people share the most unsettling content, fiction or non-fiction. And today we'll be exploring a place where people share some of their scariest tales on r/ShortScaryStories. Let's begin. My boyfriend stole the most precious thing I had. Our waiter was bleeding all over my boyfriend's meal. Pale and trembling, the young man was clearly sick. His skin was pallid white like paper, eyes flickering as if he were trying to stay awake. He stood, slightly swaying, a pitcher in hand, tall, thin, blonde hair hanging in his half-lidded eyes. Thick beads of red seeped from his nose, running down his chin and plopping directly into Noah's seafood pasta. "Is there anything else you'd like to, order?" The waiter spoke in sharp breaths, his eyes squeezed shut. I thought maybe he was going to collapse. He bent over, lips curling. His mere presence was hurting me somehow. Another stab of pain sliced into the back of my head and I made the mistake of whimpering. I'd been holding my tongue the whole time, but this was different. Overstimulation sent my senses into overdrive and I noticed small things I shouldn't have. His blink and you'll miss it glance at me. Lips parted as if he was going to speak. Going to scream. Before the pitcher slipped from his hands, crashing onto our table. My boyfriend sprang out of his chair, lips curled in disgust. "Dude!" he yelled. "What the fuck is wrong with you?" "Sorry." The waiter pressed his hand onto his forehead, another trickle of red oozing down his chin. "I'm not feeling so good." Noah's lips curled. "I want another meal for free," he nodded to me. "For my girlfriend, too." The waiter nodded, swiping at his bloody nose. I chose not to ask him if he was okay. The thought of even talking to him made me feel physically sick, like my bones were made of lead, and I had no idea why. He turned to me, nose still gushing, but it's like he didn't care. "I'm so sorry for this," he whispered, and he did look sorry. "But have we met?" "Excuse me," Noah yelled obnoxiously, cutting him off. "Can someone get rid of the lobotomized waiter?" The man shot one last confused frown, then stumbled away. Noah leaned back in his chair. The fuck is wrong with him? I opened my mouth to speak when I noticed my eyes were damp. Slowly, I traced my right eye, a single tear sliding down my cheek. Was I crying? Noah seemed to notice me trembling, but I couldn't stop. I felt sick. My head swam, my vision blurring. "Alexa?" Noah's hand found mine, his fingers threading through mine, but they felt wrong. His expression softened. Hey, are you okay?" Noah leaned closer, his breath finding my ear. I shivered. "Do you want me to take it away?" His words used to hold the sensation of lukewarm water, like dipping my toes in ocean shallows. When Noah first told me about his ability, it was when he caught me self-harming. I'd suffered from depression since I was a teenager, and every scar was a memory, and every memory hurt. Mom told me I would ruin my skin, and I didn't believe her. I thought cutting into myself would heal me, numb me. But now, 10 years later, I was covered in attempts. Tiny cuts, some of them deep, some of them on the backs of my hands and others on my shoulder. I thought destroying my body would help me. Noah discovered them when we were cuddling. His fingers traced a scar across my stomach. He wasn't disgusted, like I thought he'd be. Instead, he pulled me closer. His words soft, gentle like a breeze, lips brushing my scars. "I can take away those memories." "How?" I choked in response. His smile made me feel warm, light, like I was floating. "I can remove the bad." I didn't believe him until he took away the reason why I cried myself to sleep. The memory underneath the rugged skin on my elbow. I tried to remember it. I tried to pull it back, but it was gone, and I felt lighter, like I was flying. "Do it again," I told him when my mom died suddenly. Whoa. I wanted to forget I had a mom. Instead of grieving, I wanted to purge my mind of every memory of her. Happy or sad, painful or pretty, Noah took her away, his fingers resting against my temples, pressure building in my head. I used Noah for slight inconveniences too. I wanted to forget that I was rejected from a job, and the mess that was my high school reunion. Noah started to reject my demands for him to alter certain things, small things. I can't take everything away. After I feebly asked him to remove the memory of a spider crawling across my feet, his eyes grew wide, frightened. "Alexa, if I keep fucking with your brain, you'll start having side effects." "Like what? It's just one memory." "Nosebleeds." "Alexa, it's not easy to take memories. It drains you. He closed his eyes. "Every time I remove one, your brain shifts. It changes. You'll start getting dizzy and confused. And if I take enough, his eyes darkened. Babe, your brain will pop like a grapefruit. Help! A woman's voice shattered through my thoughts. Help! Someone get a doctor! Twisting around, I glimpsed the waiter on the floor, his body jerking violently, blood seeping from his nose. I jumped to my feet, my heart aching, all of the breath sucked from my lungs. Hey! Noah grabbed my hand and tugged me back. We don't even know the poor guy. Let's go. But I did. Somehow, my mind was cavernous. My skin remembered him. My bones remembered him. Alexa, Noah stepped closer, his fingers stabbing at my temples. Eyes ignited electric blue, manic and wild, his lips twisted into a grimace. Look at me. His words filled my mind, intoxicating me, drowning me. Sweetheart, I told you to forget your fucking husband. Whoa, oh my god. The build up to this is absolutely crazy. And the fact that this started off with the waiter being the one with the nosebleeds, yeah, you can conclude that Noah has been using his little forget your memories powers on the ex-husband here. I kind of like the concept of using powers to forget your memories can actually alter your brain, and like it can actually like physically affect you, and it'll give you side effects and stuff like that. Nosebleeds and stuff like that really did it for me right there. It drains you, he said. No wonder the waiter dude looked so sick. I told you to forget your fucking husband. I guess the aggression from Noah kind of makes a little bit of sense in this context. He's abusing his powers and making sure he does everything in his power to make sure that they both forget each other. That is an otherworldly form of manipulation. Also, using memory erasure for your mother dying is really absurd. That's complete erasure of a person, because it wasn't just, I don't want to remember the fact that she died. I want to forget every single memory associated with this person. That's horrible. Like for your, like to your own mother, that's terrible. I wanted to purge my mind of every memory of her, happy or sad, painful or pretty, and Noah took her away. Wow, dude. Greetings, dear viewer. This is Spacey here to quickly remind you to leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel to let YouTube know that we're doing good work over here. It would be awesome if we could work together to hit 2,000 subscribers before summer ends. Thank you. Now let's get back to the video. I think I'm living in an abusive relationship. I wake up at the bottom of the stairs with no memory of who I am. My head pounds. Blood trickles down my face, seeping warmth staining me. Quinn? A voice whispers. Babe? I blink rapidly. There's a man leaning over me with dark eyes, lips curled in amusement. Early to mid-20s. He's tall, thick dark hair in his eyes. I notice small detail. His clothes are stained, a white shirt and pants clinging to my filthy skin. I know who he is immediately, or at least I know traces of who he is. He's my husband, Freddie. Violent flashes slam into me, blurring into a memory. We were playing. He was chasing me around the house, and I was an idiot and tripped down I prod at my temple again, wincing. Stares. I remember our wedding, his sunshine smile. This man looks like a completely different person. For a disorienting moment, I think he's going to stamp on my head. Freddie slowly lifts his worn Converse and then backs off when I manage to sit up. He drops down beside me. I pretend I don't notice his hand slipping into my jeans pockets. Freddie reaches out and cradles my face. I notice his hands trembling, fingers grazing my eye prod harshly. Then his grip on my chin tightens, his nails digging in, like he wants to hurt me. You fell, Freddie tells me dryly, jerking my head towards him. I can see the slight twitch in his lip. He tries to hide it, tries to play and perform the perfect husband, but I'm not stupid. I drag myself to the kitchen, searching for a glass. There are no glasses, only plastic cup that says happy birthday. I shake away the sudden feeling of unease, filling up the party cup with water. Freddie stands behind me, arms folded. He fashions his lips into a grin. You okay, babe? Yeah. I drain the glass. Why do we only have plastic cups? What do you mean, babe? He says babe like a question mark. No. Something slimy fills my throat, like he's tired of saying it. Freddie grabs the first aid kit. I tell him to be gentle in treating my head wound. He smiles that performative smile once again and says, of course I will, babe. Freddie is not gentle. Instead, he pokes at the wound with a cotton bud until I snatch it away from him. His clammy fingers pretend to pull my hair into a gentle ponytail, deliberately stabbing at sore points. I open up the cupboards. We have no knives, I say, picking up a plastic fork. Why is all of our silverware plastic? Freddie doesn't respond. I turn to find him staring down at his phone. Who are you talking to? Freddie's head snaps up, and I see real fright bleed into his eyes. His bottom lip trembles, and he falls to his knees in front of me, head bowed. When I don't move, paralyzed, he slowly lifts his head. Freddie blinks. Then he wipes his eyes. Nobody, babe, he whispers. Everything he says sounds like a fucking question. He doesn't speak for the rest of the day. Freddie makes my dinner while I explore a home I don't fully remember. The front door is locked, and so is the kitchen side door. On the floor in the lounge is a dog collar attached to a chain. I stumble back. Every window has been melded shut. In the bathroom, sticky notes cover the walls bearing one word. Mine. Quinn? Freddy calls from downstairs. Dinner is ready. Babe? Reality hits me when I walk into the kitchen and he reveals pasta and wine that I know he's drugged. Poisoned. He's staring at his phone for the whole meal. Not eating, not even typing, just staring. Freddy goes to bed without saying goodnight. He doesn't question why I stand paralyzed, trying to choke out words suffocating me. He leaves his phone on the table, and after sitting in silence, wondering why I'm not poisoned, I snatch it up. No texts, no notifications, there's not even a signal. Tapping on the text messages to a Hannah, my hands shake. Hannah, I thought about you last night. I miss you. It's okay, sweetie. I'll kill the bitch. Every text is highlighted red, not delivered. I find Freddy in our room on his knees. He's rifling through our wardrobe, ripping apart my clothes. What are you doing? He doesn't turn around. Where the fuck is it, Quinn? He grabs a pair of my jeans, pulling out the pockets. Where's what? I hold up his phone. You've been talking to another girl. I can't stop myself from breaking apart, sobs racking my chest. Haven't you? He stops suddenly, one of my shirts slipping through his fingers. Yes, he whispers, his shoulders slumping. Hannah, my girlfriend. Freddy stands up and comes nose to nose with me. Hannah, he says again, his voice breaking. Who you locked in your basement and won't let go until I... He swallows, his words bleeding agony. Be your husband. He drops to his knees, his head falling into his lap. He sputters on a sob. Who you keep locked up in that fucking collar to torture me. Who you hurt when I refused to fucking obey you. You destroyed my phone. You locked all the doors and windows so I could be all yours. You replaced the silverware. You said you'd hurt us when I don't call you babe. His wide eyes find mine when he lifts his head. Another flash hits me. I'm running, but not away from someone. I'm the one chasing. Freddy's figure staggers ahead of me. I remember. A smile creeps onto my lips, and I step toward it, wrapping my arms around it. I bury my head into his shoulder. He's mine. Oh my goodness. This one does a really good job of like building it up to think that like the husband or the guy that we're with, that Freddy is crazy or initiating this abusive relationship. I assume Freddy tried to like push her down the stairs or something like that in order to kill her, but instead of killing her, she just woke up and like forgot like mostly everything. And then I really like these stories because you just have to get like really far into them or really close to the end before figuring out like what the twist is about to be. And you really don't get it until like the last line. Like this last line, he's mine. And the creepy smile forming and everything, like I can really visualize that. Like that is... Whew. He thought he had her. He thought he had her dead, but she survived and remembered everything, and the cycle continues again. Dad said I've learned my lesson. I promised myself I won't laugh at Dad's funeral. Sitting in front of my mirror, I apply very light makeup. Dad said it was devil's paint. He liked me to look natural. Once I'm satisfied with my chalky look, my cheeks a deep, pallid white, resembling a corpse, I move on to my hair. Dad didn't like the hair dye. He said it was unnatural, so I spent all night recoloring my black hair to my natural brunette shade. I force a grin, the one Dad liked. I run my hands down my dress as it hangs off me. Dad said showing skin was a sin. Dad said a woman occupies a room to be seen, not to be heard. Dad said a woman must walk behind her husband, never in front. Dad said a woman must marry a man and have beautiful Christian babies. Dad said woman loving women is a cardinal sin, that women should be hung for indecent thoughts. I've had so many indecent thoughts, too many to count. When I was 14, I was sent to a special school where my indecent thoughts were hollowed out of me. Dad said it was necessary, that I was sick. A school with bars on the windows, a school with locked doors, a school with chairs with Velcro straps. Mandatory movie screening. Dad said my favorite would be the one where the man and woman live happily ever after and have a beautiful Christian child, but the school wouldn't let me leave. They offered colorful candy that made me stop thinking for days on end. I lost hours staring at the ceiling and trying to find my thoughts, trying to find my tongue. I demanded to speak to my dad. I was 13. Dad would save me, right? Dad would take me home. Just a little longer, he kept saying, every time he visited. I believed him, but then I turned 14, and then 15. I missed holidays and vacations. He ignored the blood on my bed sheets from my attempts to kill myself, the restraints pinning my torso and arms. Dad came to see me on my 16th birthday, wiped away my tears, and said, "It's okay, you'll learn how to find a man." Dad said the restraints were needed, that my body wasn't mine, It was God's. Dad ignored my screams for mercy, for forgiveness, when the electricity rattled my bones and hemorrhaged my nose, when I was told to bite down on plastic so they could drill the indecency from me. Dad said God didn't forgive me. Dad said he was ashamed of me, ashamed of my indecent thoughts, ashamed of my refusal to accept responsibility for my own actions. I was a bad kid, Daddy said, a devil child who deserved to be punished. When I was 18, I was released. I walked into my father's arms and hugged him. I remember his satisfied grin, his sharp breath in my ear. Have you learned your lesson, Rebecca? Becca, are you still there? My girlfriend's voice crackles through my phone, which I've forgotten is still pressed to my ear. I place it on my dressing table and pick up a tube of eyeliner, screwing off the lid with trembling fingers. Are you alright? Anna's voice barely grazes my ears as I apply thick, extravagant strokes to my eyes, revel in that red-hot hit of dopamine, and then scrub it away. Dad said my face must always be white. Always perfect, like a porcelain doll. I murmur, tying my hair into a dull ponytail. I will miss the pink streaks in my hair, but it's just for one day. Dad said my hair must never spill over my shoulders, always be in a strict, tight ponytail for my husband to tug when punishing me for my disobedience. I shake away his words. I'm good, I say quickly. I'm just getting ready. Anna's sigh explodes through the speaker. Becca, I'm in the car outside. If anything happens, I'll be waiting. I smiled. I love you. Dad said I love you was only reserved for my husband. Anna paused before whispering, I love you too. I end the call, check myself over in the mirror, and leave my room. Wylan, my sister, is waiting for me outside. She's pale, shaking, sculpted in Dad's suit and tie. Wylan is a nervous wreck. Dad said Wylan was a man through and through, born a man, would always be a man. Wylan was sent to the special school to become a man. Wylan still had scars on her temples and the back of her hand, hollow eyes that pretended to be okay. Instead of speaking, I take her clammy hand with a smile. You okay? Wylan hesitates, her lip curving slightly. Yeah. Entering the funeral hall, we meet our brother, Quinn. Dad told Quinn he was sick when he was 12, that euthanasia would be the best cause of action. After all, Dad said some children weren't fit to be alive. Quinn was diagnosed with autism at 8 years old. At 10 years old, he was sent to be with the angels. Luckily, Quinn escaped. I pretend I can't sense him trembling when I take his hand, and the three of us stand over Dad's open coffin. It's just us in the room. Family. For a moment, I'm silent, staring down at Dad's peaceful face. My gaze lingers on the attempts to cover up the gasping wound in his chest where I plunged the knife into his heart. Quinn breaks after a moment of awkwardness. He breaks into his hand, muffling his grin, trying to suppress his hysterical giggles. Wylan is next. She smirks, doesn't laugh. I don't expect her to. And finally, I break apart. I drop to my knees, and I can't stop myself anymore. I laugh until I'm crying, until I'm wrapped around my siblings, and I am whole again. I lied. I did fucking laugh at Dad's funeral. Dude. Ooh, my goodness. That is a juicy one. It's like you hear all these horrible things about this father, and it's just like, and they really tolerated this for all these. I mean, it's like there's not much that they could do. They were just children. But I mean, all three of them being mistreated like this, a form of retaliation in this way is like, whoa, it's sinister. It's so sinister, but it's completely expected, I guess. Like telling your siblings that they're not fit to be alive and living their lives in certain ways, and to ultimately find out that that's how the father went out, and they're still standing there at the funeral. They got away with this. It's absolutely crazy. Describing the school that they were sent to just to become better because they were sick. That's a good one. That's a really good one. I'm starting to think I'm going to die in this apartment. The very first time I went over my boyfriend Matt's apartment, he told me 3 words that took me by complete surprise. You're not leaving. I thought he was joking, or maybe trying to be cute. I have to go, babe, I said, planting a gentle kiss on his cheek. I've got work in the morning. Matt put a hand on my shoulder as I tried to get up, guiding me back down to the couch. I blushed, thinking maybe he wanted to make out a little more before I left, but then he stood up and walked to the door. It's best if I show you, so you understand what I mean. Matt slipped on his boots, stepped outside, shut the door behind him, and when he turned the key in the lock, the door vanished. I sat on the couch, dumbfounded, staring at where the door used to be. Matt? I called out, completely alone on the 7th floor of an apartment that no longer had an exit. Matt? I shot up from the couch and rushed to the entryway. The door was completely gone. In fact, there was no evidence that a door had ever been there in the first place. This isn't funny, Matt, I yelled, pounding on the wall. After 10 minutes of pounding, I had nothing to show for it except a pair of bruised fists. I grabbed my phone, dialed 911, and then froze. I was going to sound absolutely insane trying to explain this to the police. I hit call, and there was only static. It was like Matt's apartment was completely cut off from the rest of the world. I tried calling the police for 6 hours until I heard a loud click, and then suddenly the door was back in place, as if it had never left. Matt walked into the apartment and said, "Do you understand?" "Matt, what the fuck is going on?" I hissed through clenched teeth. So many girlfriends have left me in the past, but I changed that. Matt knocked twice on the door in quick succession. "Now you can't leave." "Isn't it wonderful? We can be together forever, and I can take care of you and provide for you, and you won't need anybody else except for me." And Matt kept explaining how wonderful this was while I planned on how I was going to get past him, out of the door, and out of his life for good. I figured a sudden bum rush was my best move, but Matt was prepared for it. He stopped me, violently, before I even made it a few steps to the door. The next few days went basically like that. Matt would leave for work in the morning, leaving me alone in an empty, doorless apartment, and when he got back, I would fight like hell to escape. Matt was a foot taller than me and over 100 pounds heavier, so I didn't stand a chance. When I tried to come at him with one of his kitchen knives, he just laughed. "Yes," he cried, ripping open his buttoned shirt. "Kill me! I can't wait for you to see what happens when I die." That stopped me in my tracks. "What happens when you die?" I muttered, keeping the knife between him and me. Poof. "The door goes away for good, and you're stuck in here until you starve." I stopped fighting with him after that. I tentatively accepted that I was trapped. There was some escape attempts over the next few years, but none of them successful. Matt always kept a close eye on me, and he was somehow always strategically positioned between me and the door. "Don't worry," he'd say. "Eventually, you won't even want to leave." The awful thing was that he was right. I started looking forward to seeing Matt. None of the electronics in the apartment worked when the door was gone, and the isolation and boredom hit me really hard. Matt was my only company, my connection to the outside world, my greatest source of entertainment. It sickened me, but I was happier when he was home, so I embraced my new way of life, waiting patiently for the moment when Matt finally got complacent. I had tried to escape in 100 different ways, each one more dramatic than the last, so it was no surprise that my simplest attempt was the one that finally worked. For Matt's birthday, I made him a feast, and kept feeding him until he got so full that he dozed off. A nap is what finally saved me. Matt wore the key to the apartment on a chain around his neck. I very carefully lifted it off of him and tiptoed to the door. The sound of the knob turning woke Matt from his food coma. "Wait!" he shouted, shooting off the couch like a rocket. "Please stay. We were just starting to build a life together." Matt inched closer, and even though there were a million things I wanted to say, I decided to throw myself out the door instead. Matt scrambled for the knob when I turned the key. Click. It's funny. I could hear Matt pounding on the wall, but it was barely audible, like it was happening miles away. I stood in the hall, free for the first time since I couldn't remember when, and I didn't know what to do. For the longest time, all I knew was Matt. It's sad, but for a moment I thought I might be making a mistake, and considered unlocking the door and going back to him. That's when I got an even better idea. I put my palm on the key, leaned all my weight into it, and broke it off the lock. The door vanished completely, as well as the sound of Matt pounding. "Consider this our divorce," I said with a grin, and walked happily towards the future. What in the world? So she broke the key. I guess that kind of explains why he was always wearing the key like around his neck. I mean, I guess if you break the key, you can no longer use the door, and the door is definitely tied to his life in some way. So I guess that checks out. The part where she said that she considered going back into the apartment was like the scariest part, because it was just like, it's like being released from prison or released from jail for the first time in like over a decade or like 20 years or something like that, where you just are back into society and you have like no real idea what to do. Like what are your first steps? What do you go back to? Was there anything to go back to? Was there anything better than what I had before? Is that what that movie's called? That one movie where it's this dude who's stuck in room 1408 or whatever, and time is like slowly passing but like not passing at all. That's a great movie. The fact that she spent years like this in this apartment is also really freaking horrifying. Making so many countless attempts to escape and then just accepting that you just might actually die here. Like this might actually just be your life now. Thank you all for watching and reading with me today. If you have a story you'd like to share, then you should check out our Discord server where you can submit your own scary tale. Let me know down in the comments what other subreddits I should seek out for stories like this. That's all from me. Later.